Good morning, everyone. I'm Christy Connor, the host of Friday Coffee Meetup. We are so happy to have you here with us this morning. Friday Coffee Meetup is the largest active innovation, entrepreneurial tech meetup in Los Angeles, California, with about 7,000 members. Traditionally, we are an in-person meetup. And when we're in person, we're hosted by Cross Campus. Right now, we've transitioned to virtual programming over on Zoom for the extent of the COVID-19 restrictions. But we do look forward to getting back and seeing our members' faces. We are really grateful for our members, and we're so excited to be able to see them and participate with them each week through our virtual programming. I also want to thank our volunteers. Although you are seeing my face right now, there is actually a whole host of people who are part of this team. We're all volunteers. They spend many, many hours to bring people this programming every week, and we're really grateful for them, as well as Echo Factory, who sponsors us. I have put some information in the chat window. Our Q&A will be handled via the Q&A panel. So don't put your questions into the chat window, put them into the Q&A panel, and they will be moderated at the end of the session. There is the Pasadena Innovators Extrava Zumba today. That is going to happen this afternoon. I have put the link in the chat. It's going to be 30 innovators for 2 minutes each. I'm really excited for it. And it will be hosted by our own Minnie Ingersoll. So join us there. We are going to be having open networking today after the speaker. So if you would like to stay for that, please stay on the line and we will move you over into the panelist area to allow for some conversation and open networking. And we thank Jan and Wayne for helping to moderate that this morning. Let's see, we're also about jobs. So we have some people who have gotten different jobs recently. John, who's helping with small business loans. Thank you, John, for helping out the community. Chuck got a new role. So we are about hiring. So if you have a role that you are hiring for, please go ahead and put that into the chat window. With that, I would love to introduce Anastasia Prosina. She is the founder and CEO of Stellar Amenities. Stellar Amenities helps to create habitation spaces that enhance well-being through deployable, reconfigurable elements. They work with aerospace companies to help turn space habitats into second homes. I'm so interested to hear about this today. Stellar Amenities also graduated from the Y Combinator School in 2019. With that, I would love to welcome Anastasia, and I will turn it over to you. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much, Christy. Thank you for introducing me. And I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me. Hi, I'm Anastasia again. As Christy said, I'm the founder and CEO of Stellar Amenities. We design highly functional spaces in small spaces. When I mean small spaces, I mean space habitats, but as well as small apartments on Earth. So we design small spaces from Earth to Mars and everywhere in between. And I'm just go ahead and share my screen.
Wonderful. And we did put some information in the chat window as well about Stellar Amenities and yourself. So if you're in the attendee, you can scroll and see that as well as her Twitter handle in case you want to retweet anything.
Great. Thank you so much. Yeah, so as I said, we are really, all about human-centered design. Is the design field and architecture field is not really explored in aerospace, and it's really that this is the time that architects and designers began playing crucial role. And especially thinking about that, we have around 50 years of window to become multiplanetary species due to, we have a lot of conflicts on Earth. Some people say that, well, we don't need to explore space. There's so many problems we need to solve on Earth. But what we also don't understand in the situation that it's so much interconnected that if we explore space further, it actually advance our presence on Earth. And that's why Elon Musk is trying to, he's trying really hard to, foster the development of his company. So he really, like somebody joking that he's alien, he wanna go back to Mars because he left his phone there. Yeah. Anyway, let me go to the next slide. Yeah. As I mentioned, SpaceX is about to complete a major milestone. On May 27th, in 5 days, the company is scheduled to send 2 astronauts into space. And the first time that Elon Musk's spacefaring firm has ever launched a human and paved the way for its more ambitious mission, like sending humans to Mars. And can you just believe? Can you just believe in that humanity is in a turning point on the history of space exploration right now, and there are new industries are being born that use space in many different ways. Small startups and large enterprise have spun around this interest, and they're paving their own ways towards spreading human presence. I have a lot of friends and a lot of people that I know that working hard in space industry from different perspectives. This is really interesting. And sending people to space is becoming much cheaper, thus enabling these new businesses to develop. Companies like Axiom Space aim to place their space station in orbit by 2024, whereas NASA plan to send people to Mars in 2030s. This is really soon, This is so soon, and I think nobody just believe in that, but it's actually going to happen. But as for now, there is a total of 566 people been to space from 41 countries. Of those, only 7 people have been in orbit tourists. And to afford this trip that space travel agency called Space Adventures puts on, one should need a net worth of at least $100 million. And therefore, there are only 56,000, around 56,000 people can afford to go to space right now. And you see in the green chart, there's a black line. It's how many people actually been to space. This slide clearly shows that there's launches. It's not really a big deal. I mean, the ticket to space is pretty much affordable for some people. And there's the question that arises why there were only 7 people been to space. And I'm gonna say why, because this is how space habitats look right now. So on the left you see the International Space Station. It's where all the orbit space tourists ever stayed. And then on the middle you see it's an analog habitat, Hera, at Johnson Space Center, where astronauts and volunteers, they come here and then they live in isolation for many months. And it's supposed to be the habitat that's going to be sent to the moon. I mean, not this habitat actually, but kind of a real. This is mock-up, obviously. On the right, this is one of the numerous analog habitats that we have on Earth. There's many companies like and also non-profits like Mars Society. They host missions there. Talking about Mars Society, they have two weeks rotation missions where everybody actually can apply. So I really suggest you to apply for it. Initially, there is really utilitarian design, and no one wants to live in this environment. And this is one of the, there's a few examples of how we can design for space. This is on the left, you see Axiom's commercial space station. It was designed by French designer Philippe Starck. And I really like that Axiom really realized that they need designer to come for better solutions to attract more people to space. And not also more people, but also just improve environment in space, so everybody can benefit from that, because astronauts, they don't have choice, you know. And it takes more than an engineer to design successful spacecraft or space habitat, and it takes more than an engineer to design spacecraft that gets people to want to go to space. People want to go to space. Bless you. People want to go to space. There's no doubt about that. Like, I want to go. I guess some of you also want to go. But we don't want to see, we don't see that people buying tickets to go to space, obviously, because it's really expensive. No, expect for a handful very wealthy, which some people might say this is to be expected. But it's not entirely truth. It takes more than wealth to go to space and to buy tickets. It takes people to really want to go to space. So basically, it doesn't mean if I have money, I can go. It means that I really wanna. If I really wanna go, I would spend no matter how much I would go. It's difference between people saying now I can afford ticket to go to space. That would cost something like my house. When really what people should say is that ticket to space is so affordable, all I have to do is sell my house. It's just difference between perspectives and difference of value. And getting people to want to go to space is what makes space affordable. Just this is really important to understand, that more people want to go to space, space become more affordable. There is restrictions on how expensive you can make space travel, as long as we use rockets. Because it's always going to be a factor. It will be high dollar amount. That makes something, I mean, what makes something affordable or not, it depending on how much you want it. So let's say if Lamborghini would cost $10,000, that's quite affordable, right? In actuality, how much you're gonna use that car is in high performance. It's not that much different for the performance you get out from an ordinary car for like a few $1,000s, right? Given the speed limits and the rules we have on the roads. People buy the sports car because people really want a sports car. And this is not the engineers that makes them want sports car. It's designers, which our architects are. They have the skills in understanding not just what people like, but presenting features that make people want to go and want these things. If you really want to get people to want to go to space, you got to show them why. And it's nothing about that, well, floating in space is so cool. You can imitate floating in space in parabolic flights, really short. And going to space, it takes really a lot of effort. You need to be trained, I think, for 6 months, and you need to be prepared. So on the next slide, I'm gonna discuss more about what I'm talking about, like why people would go to space. Because there is unique environment, entertainment in space is waiting to be invented. And the low number of the previous, on the slide that I showed with the number, is a clear proof that there should be entertainment that only can be done in space and nowhere else. You need to get people more interested in space by providing conditions in the realm of space tourism. And it's really a whole industry. I see that many startups popping up on the space environment, entertainment, and because everybody likes to have fun, right? Like, there is only the reason why I would go to space just to have fun, right? Not barfing everywhere and not having nausea. Obviously you're gonna have it, but it's not gonna be a problem if you're gonna have really great fun there. So for example, floating spa, but instead of water you can use I don't know, like imagine a squirrel they take shower in sand, some squirrels, and then imagine, like, instead of water you could use something else in space, and then multimedia projections that react to one's movement, and imagine how immersive it could be. that you, for example, you are swimming with fish or a shark, and it really feels like you're swimming. So, and also when we're talking about astronauts, human access to space entails numerous risks, especially in long-duration missions like a trip to Mars. A crew chosen for this adventurous yet historical mission will struggle with the limits of the living and communal space, which can increase the chance of conflict between participants. Challenges of being isolated can be mitigated by applying tactile textures, warm color, and ever-changing spaces to break the routine of astronauts' daily life. As performance and relationships between crew members are closely tied to a space mission success. At Stormantis, we believe that our practice will lead to successful missions, thus making humankind multiplanetary with joy and comfort, not with struggle. Yeah, to break down the boredom of small space, our company will diversify the experiences of users by creating sensory stimuli, because in space there is lack of stimuli activity. Then also we create unique experience via air circulation, air purification, differences in temperatures, smells, textures, and certain color schemes. It visually expands the environment of a small habitat. So we design human-centered interior design for a truly stellar space voyage for both users, astronauts and space tourists. We provide consulting and design services to our space companies, collaborate with filmmakers, because this is, in filmmaking, I think, space movies, they don't really show the whole variety of what we can do in space. And so that's why we try to get in touch with these producers and creators of films and provide our consultancy services. Sometimes even for free, because we have fun doing that. And we do outreach activities to promote the nascent field of space architecture. Space architecture, let me see what. Space architecture, there are just a few people working in this field. We have around, I think, 30, 40 people around the world who's working on these problems. And you see, when field is emerging, you should also educate your users, you educate your customers why they actually need it, because they think that they don't have a need to hiring you. And so in this sense, we provide kind of a shift in their understanding of how spacecraft should be designed. Our team members have past experience working in such projects. So on the left, it's let me see, it's an Iceland-based Martian habitat. The Mars Society was helping design that. Unfortunately, it's really hard to get funding for this project, so I stopped working on that because I really needed something, that becomes really serious and then can be built and launched to space. So this is actually why I established my company, because I want to do stuff, not just to make beautiful pictures. And so in the middle, you see it's really interesting project I worked when I was getting master's degree in space architecture in Houston. This is dual use space station. So this is for space tourists as well as for astronauts. This is a client that came to us, to our class, to this master's class, saying that, hi guys, I have, Soviet Union space station shell in my house, not in my house, in my office, in an island, somewhere in an island. And I want you to design interior solutions for this, and I need two users to live there, not simultaneously, but in different times. So how you would change the space depending on users. So this was really interesting task. I have all the projects listed on the website. There are much more details on that. So on the right, it's a really experimental project. I worked with MIT Media Lab Space Exploration Initiative. I was really grateful to join them at MIT last summer and working on the self-assembling space habitat. So my role was to design the interior deployable solutions that can fit in a hexagonal, Buckminster Fuller, sorry, what's it called? Yeah, Fuller-N shaped space station. And then on the left, it's our chief technology officer. He's a full-time, no, he's part-time hired NASA GPL. He is the renowned origami artist, and he knows how to put something really huge into a small space, which is extremely important when you're talking about space exploration. Mass and volume, it gets to a really high cost when you think about that and when you actually implement that. So I'm really lucky to have Robert Salazar in our team, and he's a good friend of mine. And so in the middle you see I also listed not only space projects that we work, but also kind of space related projects that I've done before, which is I think also makes sense in this situation, because you see how futuristic it looks like it also looks like a spaceship. I really enjoyed to design it. It was my really first internship abroad, architecture internship abroad, when I first decided to speak English. So it's really long story. This is a great experience to me. And then our last project we worked last year. It's a deployable chair for Martian environment. It's 1/3. It's the most lightest chair ever designed. And remember that at Mars you don't really need a heavy chair because it's 1/3 of gravity. So how you would save up a lot of space, but also feel comfortable. And then it also has this kind of weird shaped seating, right? If you noticed. So it's because when you on Mars, you have much more open posture. What I mean under open posture, you like imagine weightlessness. You have body that you have, hands like that, and then your legs are spread. So on the Martian environment, it has something like imagine on Earth gravity and then weightlessness, something in between. So you have some like kind of open posture, but less. So to support this open posture, and then also remember that you need to exercise in this environment. So this chair is really an invasive way to exercise. You have your muscles always working when you're sitting in this chair. Yeah, and as I said, we do outreach activities. I spoke around the globe to deliver the message about emerging field, because I think it's really important, and I just do it. I really enjoy it. And in this sense, I decided to create. It's not really possible to have physical events right now, and I decided to host space architecture talks because nobody really talks about space architecture, and I just decided to do my own thing. Because I always try to fit in something, but it's really hard to find something that really responds to your needs and your specific goal and field. So I hosted 2 panels, which we're gonna have 3rd panel at the end of this month or the beginning of June. Oh, sorry, June. Wow. So I invite, so the series takes a creative spin of future of living in space, bringing together the diverse range of speakers, space architects, Hollywood visionaries, sci-fi authors, designers, and more. And I'm gonna leave a link on the chat where you can subscribe like to new to newsletter. So I will send you kind of notification once we are ready to host a new event. So on the first panel we had it's below. It's we had all the space architects joining panel talking about different really perspective, because each person has its her or his own perspective on how to design to space. So we had a sci-fi geek, Erin, she is a Blue Origin. Melody, she won numerous awards in space architecture, starting from all the NASA design challenge, 3D printer challenge project that's been been lasting for 3 years. And then on the second panel, we had Ariel Aglo, she's director of MIT Media Lab, Space Exploration Initiative. It's this is who I worked before in the project, and Frank White, he's space philosopher. We talked about mostly how does it feel to be when you're going to become multiplanetary species? What kind of shift, cognitive shift will happen to us as species, to humanity? And also, I think that the current situation, the current crisis, it's what unites us, and we are all in this situation. We are all on this spaceship called Earth, and we are all crew members. And I think that when you, especially if you are isolating in a small apartment, you can use all the lessons learned from space architecture to a small environment, because this is really emotional challenges of living in varying degrees in isolation. And after the coronavirus pandemic itself, a wave of its secondary consequences will come, and there's going to be a lot of mental illness associated with forced long-term isolation and constant stress. And this is I wrote a booklet. It's also available for free. I leave a link. It's about what kind of devices, what kind of features you can get to your house or room, so you can feel that it's much bigger than it is, and you feel like you are actually traveling from one place to another, staying in the same place by diversifying your experience. You can read more on that. I will leave link, as I said. And so please get in touch with us. We really so as for now, we are working on the NASA's proposal. We are designing a sleeping solution for astronauts, because this is one of the biggest problems that we're talking about space. And we are designing, we are applying deep pressure therapy to their sleeping, because deep pressure therapy, something really works on Earth. So we thought about it. It's the thing that actually would work in space, but how it would be different. So let's see. And if you are a fashion designer in a different senses, I'm not particularly saying that we need a certain person. We need the multidisciplinary team. You already have 7 people from different backgrounds, starting from space biomedical researcher, and then we have a fashion designer, we have sensing designer. Well, yeah. So please get in touch. And the resources.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay, fantastic.
Thank you so much for having me again. I'm really excited. I was really excited to share with you my experience and what I do. We are a LA-based company, but in this time that's really makes a difference because we collaborate remotely with all my employees. They work in different areas of the world.
Great. All right. Well, we are going to try and take a photo here because I forgot to do that when we got started. So you're just going to have to like smile into the camera and hold while I try and take a snag it of you. So let me see here. Go ahead and smile. All right. Let's see if we got that here. We did. Okay, perfect. With that, we are going to open it up for Q&A. So please put your questions into the Q&A panel. And we do have a question already. The question is, you show nice spaces as a replacement for functional laboratory space, but if you hide the technology, how do you make it easily serviceable with minimal tools?
I couldn't hear like last sentence. Can you repeat it, please?
Oh yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay.
It talks about kind of having nice spaces as a replacement for functional. Oh, it disappeared. Wait, maybe it's coming back. Hold on. There we go. But if you hide the technology, how do you make it easily serviceable with minimal tools?
Oh, so the question is, so if we design the interior, which is like additional layer of a habitat, and then under it, behind it, we'll have a support system. So how you assess that easily? That's a really good question. Let me think about it, because we don't. Since we're saying that we design reconfigurable elements that is really easy to store and place it somewhere so it doesn't takes up more space, and there are solutions. We are not trying to make a pie, kind of a sandwich of things. It's like, for example, let me talk about Excalibur and Mars. When you work with Excalibur and Mars, we also thought about how they would assess all the systems that are required to make sure that they're working properly and then fix some problems. So we just would make like a hidden kind of panels so you can access certain to a certain extent. But this is really good question. We always consider that when we design for such an environment. However, we had not had a real project that somebody came to us and saying, design our whole interior with all the panels included. We just, for now, we are focusing on a kind of product design, I would say. So as I said, there is a sleeping cocoon we are developing. So it's kind of a really product that you can store and take it somewhere and place it somewhere else. So I hope it answered your question. Thank you. It's a really good question.
The next question is, are you currently working or chasing other deployable structure projects that are similar to the JPL Starshade, for example, at other NASA centers?
So the question is, do I design my own origami do we design our own deployables, or we are chasing what's done by NASA?
Or are you working on things that are like the JPL Starshade or other types of deployable structures?
I see. Yeah, you see, Starshade is what goes outside of spacecraft. So it's basically supposed to be outside. It's also supposed to be in space, placed in space. However, we design what goes inside of spacecraft, which is really you can have a full variety of creativity that you can apply. This is actually why I would mention that we design, the shell of spacecraft or satellites or like deployable arrows, which actually our chief technology officer is capable of. He is working on these problems at NASA GPL. He's at Stellarmentis, he's helping with designing deployable solutions for devices that go inside. So for example, space cocoon, sleeping space cocoon we are designing right now, this also should be deployable, and it's made of fabric, and then there is insulation, and also think about off gassing. There should not be off gassing, and that's pretty much it. You don't need to have all this spectrum of airspace checkpoints, like I would say, because airspace there's so many things to consider, and this is the reason why I focus on what goes inside, because I can do almost whatever we want.
Okay. There was a question about getting the link to your book. I don't know if we want to do that really quick.
I will do that after the Q&A. I was already looking for link, and then it's already copied it, so I need to paste it. Good.
Okay, cool. I thought it was really interesting, kind of that link between isolation and COVID and the experience in space. What are some important design elements that you think are really critical within isolation, or that really impact isolation?
Yeah, it really depends where you live. Like, we currently live in different houses, apartment places. So some of you are lucky to have backyard and have some place to walk. Some of them are less. Some of us are less lucky. And before I lived in a house, I live in a house right now. But before I moved out like a month ago from a small apartment, and almost in the center of LA, which was really small, with almost no sunlight. So we're really experimenting a lot. How would I feel better in that? Because I really wanted to go outside. And there were no a choice to go outside, because I heard that in our apartment complex, somebody already, got coronavirus, and then there are people, they're walking everywhere. And then we didn't open windows because windows, we open, and there are people, walking back and forth. And what I discovered is that, the integrity of space habitat, what I mean under that is you have air purification, air circulation, you have a water system, like astronauts drink their own processed urine, I would say, right? Because how things work, and it's the purest water they can get. It's the purest water ever. And talking about system, I would say that if you live in an apartment that you don't have enough sunlight, and what happened to me, I was falling asleep later and later until I just discovered that I go to sleep at 5 a.m. in the morning, and I decided to do something like that, because my circadian rhythm was shifting. So I got a circadian rhythm, like kind of lamps, so they have different colors and temperature light. And then I set it up. I have more details in the book, but in the booklet. And now I'm going to just say a few things. So, and you set it up, and then you have Alexa turn on, and then you have all this. For example, you set the sunset and and sunrise in a certain time, and then you have all the lights turned on, and then it's changing over the day. And then you can say go to the beach. So the scenery, they're really changing. Colors are changing, and you really feel different. You feel that you kind of got outside. And also I would say that I also got air purification system, and what's it called? Yes, air purification system is like some essential oils. So it feels better. And then there is a list of plants that NASA recommended to get, and they're plants that actually grow in space. I mean, they purify. It's the plants that they have the biggest number, like how the purify. Sorry, they have they purify air very well. So you should get those, because plants, they're also very important as a kind of if you live alone or with another person, and you get really bored, and then nothing will happen in your environment, and you don't have pets. So you just would be really great to have plants in your apartment if you don't have yet.
Okay.
And also
All right.
heat lamps, and there's I think there are 5 things listed in that booklet. So
Okay.
I'll make sure I send a link.
Okay, perfect. Can you tell us a little more about the chair you designed, the lightest chair ever developed, and the design to accommodate a more open posture?
Yeah, yeah, I wish I could have slides where like they are somewhere. So this chair utilize the principle called integrity. It's tensile and integrity. It's amalgamation of 2 words, and it was coined by Buckminster Fuller. I already noticed his name I think twice because this is one of the major inspiration for us. His works really on the geometry, and then how you do more with less. This is what drives us to. So in terms of the chair, it uses ultra high molecular weight polyethylene in their legs, in its legs, and also upholstery made of what it was made of. Let me see. Let me think. Upholstery. Oh yeah, it's a foam that can be also stored, and it's extremely lightweight. And also the shape that you saw on the seating, it's actually was made kind of an analysis on the posture on Mars, and then it's actually ideally facilitate your posture as well as keep your muscles trained. So basically this chair also changes, I mean, it can change position. So for example, you can stand and work and kind of lean on it. And also you can, for example, if you want to have a dinner with your crew members, you have a chair that has its ordinary position, just sitting. So it accommodates
Okay.
leaning and sitting positions. And
Okay.
you can learn more about the chair and more like drawings and stuff on the website.
Okay. Fantastic. Our last question for today. In isolation, the need for interaction is important with others and your environment. If either is fully static, input sensory only, the experience of isolation can be amplified. What are some ideas for providing environmental interactivity in the same sense that Zoom provides interactivity as distinct from passively watching a movie or show? How do we create interactivity maybe for the astronauts, or how do you create interactivity or have them interact with one another? Or other things like, you know how on Zoom I'm able to talk to you and you're able to respond or share things. How could you create that in space?
I have a few thoughts on that, like, is that like social media? So we are talking about that astronauts, they live in the same place, and then the question is how they interact with each other. Like, what are these
Could be
devices?
with each other or people outside of that, people who are, because they're so isolated, how can they interact with others?
Yeah.
Maybe not just themselves.
So sure, they get tired of their crew members because some of them they become friends, some of them they don't, and it's really hard to have a mission with somebody that they're not your family, for example, or your friends, because it's not how astronauts chosen. However, according to the experience on the ISS, on the International Space Station, the astronauts they have calls with their family, I think like as many as they want if they have some spare time. And also, I thought about creating a capsule, like as I mentioned, the sleeping cocoon that can be also used as a privacy like capsule, and then would it be really cool to create like in this capsule different senses in terms of like what I actually described in that booklet. It's creating different humidity, different temperature, different lightings. So for example, imagine you're on Mars and then you're in this capsule and then say, oh, well, I want to know what's weather in Los Angeles. And then the capsule imitates temperature of Los Angeles, for example. And then there might be, some noises from the environment of Los Angeles. And actually you can have a call with your family, like standing in a park, and then you can feel like this immersive experience of a park by noises. And then I'm not sure about smells, but like also imagining not having a call on your phone, but also like sitting in a capsule, your relatives, your family just surround you. And this is, I think, really next step of interactivity. Other than that, I think astronauts on a mission to Mars or already on the surface, they have enough interactivity between each other, and then I think they already get tired of each other, and then they need something to to retreat, to kind of run out. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. We do hope that you can stay online with us. We are going to open it up for open networking in a moment. I did just put in the chat, Echo Factory is hiring an account coordinator. So please reach out to Michael Schaefer if you have those skills or you know someone who has those skills. I also wanted to do 3 quick polls because we're having some issues with the chat window. And Anastasia has just also posted in the chat window the information to her booklet. So let me run these polls really quick if you guys can answer these. So the first one has to do with, when I get on in the morning, I post all the information to the chat window, but some people are not being able to see it. So if you can scroll up to your top window, the top of your chat window, and let me know if you see the information about Friday Coffee Meetup, Anastasia, the Zoom information. If you guys could answer that now by clicking yes or no.
Yes.
I'm going to give it a second here. If the rest of you guys can scroll up in your chat and see if you can see it.
I only saw when you reposted.
Okay, some people can see at the beginning, it looks like, and some are when I posted at the beginning. Is anybody else able to see that? Okay, let me, okay, so only 2 people answered me. So let me go to my question number 2. Were you able to see the information about Friday Coffee Meetup in the chat window as soon as you logged on? So please answer yes or no. Like when you logged on today, were you able to see the information in the chat window? You guys are all, let me launch this poll. If you guys can let me know. Okay, so it looked like more people could see it. So it's somehow split half and half, or it's a little more towards yes, that people were able to see it when they logged on. One thing I would recommend when you come on, definitely scroll to the top of your window. And then I have a third question as well. Let me get that. For some of you, were you able to see that information posted twice in your chat window? I posted it at like 7:50 this morning, and then I posted again when Anastasia started speaking. So if you can scroll through and see if you're able to see it twice. Okay. All right, let me share. So most people did not see it going twice. So I'm not sure what's happening here. We're gonna have to investigate that a little more clearly and see what is happening there. With that, I want to let you know next week we are going to be having Dahara Tariq of Moonshots Capital. She's going to be joining us to talk about why venture size the fund size matters, and how fund economics come into play for the entrepreneur. So that's going to be an exciting event next week. We are going to open it up into open networking now. So if you are interested in being brought into the panelist area and joining us for a conversation, please stay on the line. If not, have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend to everyone. Thank you to any veterans. We really appreciate everyone, and enjoy the long weekend.